It seems that the situation was not so optimistic. As Canute's crash landing splashed several layers of ice and snow on his spectators, Zhang Yi took a drag, brushed off the dirt on his body, and carefully took a peek at the battle situation on the battlefield behind the container. On the battlefield, a surging storm was gathering, and with it, a flaming figure shuttled through the battlefield like a phoenix. Zhang Yi took a deep drag and calmed himself. This was expected. Although Fengguang Yuanjin's power was greatly weakened by him, it didn't mean that Liang Yu and the other two can beat him. Mainly because these three had also been seriously injured. On the battlefield, Fengguang Yuanjin was laughing wildly. His team was gone, and almost everyone died in this battle, so he wanted to kill all the members of the Tengu team as a form of retribution. "I haven't lost yet," Fengguang Yuanjin declared loudly like a crazed maniac. "As long as I'm alive, I can start over. Eclipse Moon will never be defeated." Fengguang Yuanjin's body was burning like red-hot magma, and his phoenix flames that all mutants on the battlefield dared not touch was used as an offensive weapon and a defensive shield to deter anyone from getting close. Because once infected, it will be difficult to dispel like a maggot on the tarsal bone, and the only way to counteract it is to consume an enormous amount of supernatural energy. Bailey Chongqing and Liang Yu have been fighting to the point of madness. They knew they couldn't retreat. This was their last opponent in this battle after all, and the other battlefields were also paying attention to the results of their battle. The two were panting from the fight as they also tried to keep their distance from Fengguang Yuanjin's flaming figure. Liang Yu's arm was sort of disabled, so she could only hold the knife with his left hand, and her fighting power was less than half of her peak. Bailey Chongqing used drugs to forcibly improve his strength, and his body was also collapsing at this time. If he continues to fight, it would not take long for the side effects of the drug to kick in full force. If that happens, he would die without Fengguang Yuanjin's interference. This is bad. Zhang Yi stared at the crazed leader of the Eclipse group and subconsciously wanted to go over and help. But when he thought of how Fengguang Yuanjin must hate him the most, he gave up on the idea real quick. Even if he managed to kill Fengguang Yuanjin, what will happen? He will just be resurrected in no time. What he needs to do was to find a sure way to seal him up. Zhang Yi checked the time. 37 minutes have passed since the battle began, and the support that Gao Changkong promised had not arrived. This scheming fucker. He wants me to die and then come to pick up the leak, right? A sneer appeared at the corner of Zhang Yi's mouth. Gao Changkong, a seemingly perfect character, was born in poverty and had a perfect personality. But Zhang Yi has never trusted such a person, because no one was perfect. If there was such a person, then it was obvious that that individual was pretending. And a person who can always pretend to be a perfect person must be more ruthless than ordinary people. Zhang Yi knew this very well. After all, his first crush, Fang Yuqing, was a clear example of such people. Blizzard City wants to use him to contain Gao Changkong's aspirations, while Gao Changkong also wants Zhang Yi to be his stepping stone in destroying Eclipse Moon, but in a manner that ensures that Blizzard City will have to give him the credit for destroying the Eclipse group. After all, Blizzard City needs a monument to become an idol in people's hearts. Zhang Yi gave up the plan to wait for support and instructed the intelligence system to reconnect with Blizzard City. As the device on his wrist received the command, the communication channel was reconnected almost instantly. Although Zhang Yi did not believe Blizzard City's headquarters because there might still be undercover agents there, but if others did not let him off, he could not let others off either. Speaking directly with Zhu Zhang, Zhang Yi went straight to the point without any formal pleasantries. The Samsara team did not arrive at the scheduled time, and from the looks of it, there is something significantly off with King of Wheels. I don't have any substantial evidence, but I believe he might be an undercover agent of the Eclipse group. Zhang Yi's words made Zhu Zheng's eyes widen. You mean Gao Changkong, the captain of our investigation team, is Eclipse Moon's undercover agent? His brows knitted. This news sounded too incredible and impossible to believe. However, what is the identity of the investigation team leader? In Blizzard City, they were second only to several senior officials. And the Eclipse Group was just a small Ronin organization in Neon. What reason did Gao Changkong have to betray his own nation for? Zhang Yi explained calmly. The iron rule of the investigation team is the concept of time. It was agreed to be half an hour, but it had been so late for far too long. There is only one reason. They are in collusion with the enemy and hope we die. Zhang Yi was not sure whether Gao Changkong really betrayed Blizzard City. This was just a guess. But one thing was certain, Gao Changkong was hoping for his death. And if that's the case, he too can play dirty. Zhang Yi didn't mind throwing some dirt on Gao Changkong. Anyway, just as Zhang Yi hoped, Zhu Zhang took his words seriously and replied that he would investigate. He will also contact the Samsara squad immediately. Zhu Zhang did not forget to remind Zhang Yi about his primary priority. Now that the enemy forces only had Feng Guangyuanjin as the remaining threat, he must be eliminated at all cost. As long as he is killed, the mission will be completed. Zhang Yi ended the communication. A mocking smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. At all costs. At whose cost did this old guy mean? Because it definitely won't be his. Back to the battlefield. Feng Guangyuanjin kept searching for Zhang Yi's figure among the group, his head moving desperately from side to side. He knew he had to kill Zhang Yi, but there were too many members of the Tengu squad around, and Zhang Yi seemed to have disappeared. There was no trace of him at all. Feng Guangyuanjin shuttled across the battlefield. His speed was too fast, his strength was too strong, and the ground became charred wherever his phoenix flames passed. With his flaming hand as a knife, the body of Sniper Qi Guangming was cut in two. Die, you measly fly! He laughed wildly and rushed towards the powerless Meng Xiu. Meng Xiu's face turned pale, but at the critical moment, Canute returned to the battlefield and forcibly blocked his punch. However, a huge hole was smashed into his left hand, and the phoenix flames burned his flesh, making him wail in pain. It seems the situation was getting even worse for the members of the Tengu team. Even for the current Feng Guangyuanjin, killing them was like killing chickens. That speed, that power, and that red lotus fire that could ignore their superpowers made them deeply feel the horror of a captain-level fighting power. Lu Yinghao was the next unfortunate member of the Tengu team to die, and his death was very abrupt. He didn't even catch the figure of Feng Guangyuanjin before he was grabbed by the neck and consumed by the phoenix flames. The world in front of him suddenly lost its luster. Zhang Yi, come out from wherever you're hiding! Feng Guangyuanjin roared in the center of the battlefield. Zhang Yi heard this clearly from a distance and frowned hesitantly, but didn't rush out. If you don't come out now, I will kill every last person of your team, including your women. Zhang Yi had to keep a long enough distance from him. Have you found the witch? He asked his two team members who went to find Mayumi Takeuchi. We found her, Captain. Yihi and Xue Miao stood in front of the body of Shishimono Satoru, looking down at Mayumi Takeuchi, shivering beside the dead body of her bodyguard. Do you want to kill her? As long as Mayumi Takeuchi is killed, Feng Guangyuanjin will lose the ability of his 5 seconds future prediction, and his combat effectiveness will be greatly reduced, creating a huge chance for the Tengu team to win. Zhang Yi's response came through the communication device with a heavy sigh. No, don't kill her and don't let her die either. Capture her and bring her to me. Yihi replied that he understood as he took a couple steps forward. He kept looking down at the woman who caused the destruction of the Tengu team, his eyes full of hatred. Yihi punched Mayumi Takeuchi in the abdomen with a heavy fist, causing her whole body to spasm like a shrimp as she tries to remain conscious. Damn neon bitch, Yihi cursed loudly. If the captain hadn't insisted on keeping you around, I would have turned you into ashes long ago. He then shoved his gun in front of Mayumi Takeuchi's face and warned her from committing suicide. Not long after, Yihi and Xue Miao brought Mayumi Takeuchi to Zhang Yi. Captain, what should we do with her? Yihi asked, staring at Mayumi Takeuchi. She was then thrown directly to the ground like a broken sack. Zhang Yi stared at the woman on the ground, with a relaxed smile on his lips, and stated that Mayumi Takeuchi was still useful. You see, anything Zhang Yi doesn't dispose of immediately meant he sees its usefulness later on. With Mayumi Takeuchi around, it would be easy to deal with Feng Guangyuanjin. Mayumi Takeuchi was so weak that she didn't even have the strength to speak. She was already weak. How could she withstand a punch from Yihi? At that moment, Yang Xinxin was also brought to Zhang Yi's side by Flower. She quickly got off Flower and rushed to the scene. Xinxin, shoot her with an arrow, Zhang Yi stated calmly. Yang Xinxin understood the situation and immediately manipulated the Angel of Desire to shoot an arrow of love and desire at Mayumi Takeuchi. Without any resistance, Mayumi Takeuchi instantly became her slave. Yang Xinxin leaned over and looked at Mayumi Takeuchi and questioned her with a smile. Now, tell me everything about Feng Guangyuanjin. What exactly should I do to kill him? A layer of pink mist appeared in Mayumi Takeuchi's eyes. In her eyes, Yang Xinxin became the only person in the world worthy of her trust and reliance. She could even give up her life for her. He is indestructible, immortal, and can regenerate even if there is only one drop of blood left. Unless all his essence is exhausted, he must be killed at least 10,000 times. This statement silenced everyone. Killing Feng Guangyuanjin at least 10,000 times? With several of Zhang Yi's space abilities temporarily inactive, and the rest of the team unable to even kill Feng Guangyuanjin once, how the hell are they supposed to achieve this outcome? Yang Xinxin slowly grabbed Mayumi Takeuchi's chin and asked calmly. Besides this, is there any other way? Of course. The other alternative is let him kill himself. Mayumi Takeuchi stated seriously. The only one who can destroy Fengguangyuanjin is himself. Hearing this, Chunlei pulled his hair madly. Isn't this nonsense? He is not sick, so why would he kill himself? Zhang Yi suddenly came to a realization. He casually threw away the cigarette butt in his hand. I understand. Let's do it then. Everyone looked at Zhang Yi in surprise. Captain, do you have any ideas? Almost. I don't know for sure, but it's worth a try. Zhang Yi looked at Mayumi Takeuchi and smiled knowingly. If we control her, we will be halfway there in winning this battle. On the battlefield, Fengguangyuanjin had managed to put great pressure on the Tengu team. Right until that very moment, he had only managed to kill 2 members of the Tengu team. And if it weren't for Bailey Chongqing and Liang Yu's desperate resistance, then no one else would be able to survive his attack till now. However, in a flash, Fengguangyuanjin suddenly felt that the sight in front of him had changed significantly. Something was peeled off from his body. He was stunned for a moment before realizing that he could no longer see the future. Yang Xinshin had instructed Mayumi Takeuchi to take back the power she gave Fengguangyuanjin. Huh? What's going on? Why can't I see the direction of their attack anymore? It seems that there is something very important that I have forgotten. Fengguangyuanjin thought for a long time before he realized what he had forgotten. He had a partner before, who seemed to be called Mayumi Takeuchi. Fengguangyuanjin. A familiar voice came from above, attracting Fengguangyuanjin's attention. He looked up and saw a face that he hated. Zhang Yi. Fengguangyuanjin's expression became ferocious, and he roared to the sky. He then bent slightly, and after accumulating power, he soared into the sky like a cannonball. Zhang Yi quickly dodged in the air with his flying device. Zhang Yi had secretly injected himself with compound number 2, and under the effect of the drug, his strength was temporarily improved, and his alternate space on the verge of collapse was temporarily curbed from signs of collapse. Anyway, still in the air, Zhang Yi took out his anti-material sniper rifle from his alternate space, aimed at Fengguangyuanjin and shot him in the head. With this, do you think you can kill me? Fengguangyuanjin sneered, and it seems that Zhang Yi's shot did not put him down for long. Fengguangyuanjin stood up again, wanting to kill Zhang Yi so badly. But after another deafening gunshot swept through the air, Fengguangyuanjin's body was pierced by a massive force and fell to the ground. Before he died, he still couldn't figure out how Zhang Yi hit him. Zhang Yi stood in the air, and blood-colored stripes flowed through his body. Mayumi Takeuchi's blood endowment was now blessed on him. He could see Fengguangyuanjin's future within 5 seconds, so he could judge his position in advance and attack. Fengguangyuanjin was dead, but before his body could burn rapidly and prepare for the next regeneration, the members of the Tengu team seized this opportunity and rushed forward quickly. They took out several special spray guns. Then, a stream of white smoke was aimed at his body and began to spray. It was liquid nitrogen, which could quickly lower the temperature to more than 100 degrees below zero, and even lock the state of cells. This was the method that the Tengu team thought of to deal with Fengguangyuanjin. As long as his cells were blocked, perhaps he could be on the border between life and death and unable to revive. Under the cooling effect of a large amount of liquid nitrogen, Fengguangyuanjin's body was frozen into a white ice sculpture. But before everyone could breathe a sigh of relief, a ball of blazing red flames suddenly erupted and melted the surrounding ice crystals. Fengguangyuanjin was reborn again, and the idea of freezing him failed. You think you can seal me like this? What a joke! Zhang Yi was not panicked at all by Fengguangyuanjin's explosive outburst. After all, Mayumi Takeuchi's blood endowment gave him the ability to predict the future. So even without the full blessings of his spatial power, he could kill Fengguangyuanjin as much as he needs to. Fengguangyuanjin charged at Zhang Yi with his phoenix flames the moment he resurrected, only for Zhang Yi to fire another shot in his direction. After the trigger was pulled, Fengguangyuanjin's fast-moving body in the air was hit squarely in the chest, as if he deliberately decided to use his body to intercept the bullet. He gritted his teeth and kept repeating that Zhang Yi couldn't kill him. The force of the bullet that pierced his body managed to force him back in the air as he laughed wildly. You're right. I can't kill you, but you can. Zhang Yi replied indifferently as he stared at the falling body. Yang Xinshin and Mayumi Takeuchi were not far from the scene, and the Angel of Desire beside Yang Xinshin drew her bow and aimed an arrow of hatred at Fengguangyuanjin. Mayumi Takeuchi reminded Yang Xinshin to shoot the arrow the moment Fengguangyuanjin reshapes his body. Yang Xinshin smiled and thanked her. Her Angel of Desire aimed very accurately, and at the moment Fengguangyuanjin reshaped his body, the arrow of hatred pierced his body from the back. Hate yourself, Fengguangyuanjin, Yang Xinshin declared excitedly. Feng Guangyuanjin just resurrected and felt the effect of the arrow in his heart. There was no pain, but he inexplicably developed a strong sense of crisis. An uncontrollable, self-loathing emotion emerged from the deepest part of his heart. He widened his eyes and looked down at his chest in astonishment. There was no wound, but his heart was in great pain. He thought back to his life. He was born a bad guy since he was a child. He liked violence and cruelty. Killing stray cats and wild dogs on the roadside was a form of entertainment and an exciting part of his childhood. This cruel character was well concealed in front of his parents and relatives. But the longer these emotions were suppressed, the more powerful they would rebound. The advent of the end of the world finally made him lose all his restraints and began to face his heart. The first person he killed was his wife, who mocked him all day long for not earning enough living expenses to support his family. After his first kill, it took him less than a minute to adapt to the trembling in his heart and become excited. From then on, he became unstoppable on the road of killing. Too many people died in his hands, and in order to reward himself after the end of the world, he specially solidified his villain arc and began to go to the places he had experienced in his life. Feng Guangyuanjin took pleasure in killing those people who had grievances with him one after the other. It was a very thick death note. At this time, Feng Guangyuanjin's chest was in great pain. He was hurting so much that he could hardly breathe. He gasped for air, tears in his eyes as he cried bitterly. His legs even fell weakly on the broken battlefield. What have I done? How could I kill so many people? This kind of sin cannot be atoned even if I die 100 times. I'm sorry for being born as a human being. Yang Xinshin's commanding voice flatly stated that 100 deaths wasn't needed. Once was enough. She frowned, her face full of disgust. You dirty cheap mutant peasant and a stinking pig. Just kill yourself already. Feng Guangyuanjin had lost the motivation to live. His heart and mind were completely occupied by a single crazy idea. His permanent death. I shouldn't live in this world anymore. After he said this, he slowly closed his eyes and cried harder, demanding they kill him. Feng Guangyuanjin, who had given up the belief of living, would be no different from ordinary people when he no longer activated the power of his phoenix. Okay, I'll help you. At this time, Zhang Yi had managed to take out his sword of judgment from his alternate space. The moment it appeared in his hand, he looked at Feng Guangyuanjin, who was kneeling on the ground and begging for death. His eyes filled with grief, hatred, regret, and eagerness. Zhang Yi's steps were firm and slow, and after reaching the sniper range of his dimensional double doors, he immediately opened them. Then, through the ability to pass through the double doors, he quickly swung the horizontal sword in his hand. With a loud puff, Feng Guangyuanjin's head flew high up and then rolled to the ground. Everyone held their breath. The more time stretched on, the more nervous they were. After waiting for more than 10 seconds, Zhang Yi turned in Yang Xinshin's direction and told her to ask Mayumi Takeuchi how to confirm that Feng Guangyuanjin was dead. Yang Xinshin looked at Mayumi Takeuchi and asked calmly. Mayumi Takeuchi, who had become her loyal dog, spoke frankly. Feng Guangyuanjin's immortality ability should have activated at the moment of his death. But since he hasn't resurrected, it means that he had not used his ability and was really dead. Thinking about it, it made sense. After waiting for a few minutes, it was finally confirmed that Feng Guangyuanjin was really dead. This declaration also meant that Blizzard City's battle against Eclipse Moon was over, and they won. A fierce cheer broke out at the scene, and all the members of the Tengu team had tears in their eyes. They excitedly looked up to the sky and shouted like crazy people, crying and laughing. For this moment, they have been suppressed for too long. It also made them bear too much pressure. The Combat Command Center also broke out in excited cheers. Zhu Zhang, who always looks serious on weekdays, showed a relaxed smile and fell steadily on his chair. Zhang Yi, this kid, he really didn't disappoint me. His personal guard, Sun Lushuan, adjusted his old-fashioned glasses with a speechless expression on his face. It seems that from the very beginning, the commander didn't expect Zhang Yi to perform like this, right? But he didn't forget to congratulate Zhu Zhang. Under his leadership, the Jiangnan region successfully annihilated all the invaded enemies and demonstrated the strong strength of the Jiangnan region. Sun Lushuan turned his head to look at the big screen, where it clearly displaced Zhang Yi picking up Feng Guangyuanjin's head and was in the process of consuming his essence. Sun Lushuan watched the scene and secretly approved Zhang Yi's strength and potential. This kid is indeed a good candidate. His potential may be even greater than that of several investigation team captains in Blizzard City. He believes that this battle's outcome would surely deter the scoundrels in other regions, and make them dare not have any contempt for the Jiangnan region. Zhu Zhang was in a good mood at this time, but he has not fallen to the point of arrogance. Suddenly, he thought of something and frowned. Just a while ago, Zhang Yi just told him that Gao Changkong was the undercover agent in Blizzard City. Why did Zhang Yi say this? Gao Changkong, a captain of an investigation team, he has no reason to cooperate with Eclipse Moon. That sentence, as explained earlier, was originally just a diversion and dirty talk by Zhang Yi. In fact, he did not have any evidence.